those guys, I know even in 16, they were basically like, hey, they assumed Hillary was going to win, and they were like, they were going to withdraw from the military. When Trump won, many of them stayed on, signed on. A couple guys flew F-18s, a couple guys were teams guys. What's going on in such a short period of time? Because I know those guys, like I said, I lived with them from 8th grade on, and the insanity that we're seeing coming out of these guys now is, it's just that, it's insanity.
Insanity is right. And not just me, but my dad's a retired colonel in the military. Okay. My sister went to West Point first.
Okay.
So she's 10 years older than I am. I went to West Point second.
You have to salute her when you go home?
So she was a math instructor at West Point while my brother and I were both cadets at West Point.
Oh boy.
So I had to salute her every single day. And it was depressing for a while, but I got over it. I got used to it. So I'm West Point 04. My sister's 93. My brother's West Point 05. So all three of us went to West Point. Wow. There's 60 years worth of military service just in my immediate family.
Amazing.
Now, when I look at what's happening right now with our military, it's flat out depressing. Because when I was coming up, we weren't talking about any of this stuff. Yeah. It's the United States Military Academy, capital M, emphasis on military. And right now, we look at this woke agenda, and we're talking about trans rights and this and that and the third. And the people that want to go to West Point at 18 years old and go to the Naval Academy and Air Force Academy, they want to serve. Yeah. And they're conservative. I'll tell you what, there's 38 congressional districts in Texas. I am the 38th. Of the 38 congressmen and women from Texas, 14 of them are combat veterans and military veterans. Yeah. All 14 are Republicans. Not a single one's a Democrat. So what does that tell you?
Yeah, a lot. And yet the leaders, I mean, the generals, and they sit there and again, someone told me it's because, I think there's almost a universal consensus, other than maybe the new religion of the left, which is like the Ukraine war. But prior to that, the citizens are over the never-ending wars.
Yes.
They understand there was maybe, and so it seems like the generals, someone told me this, and I was like, wow, that's it's scary, but brilliant. Like, the generals all went woke because the retirement plan used to be like, get on the board of Raytheon, we'll sell you missiles because we're in never-ending wars. And like, hey, great.
Those days are ending.
It's a quid pro quo like you've never seen before. But now, since there isn't necessarily that desire, although that's been augmented a little bit by Ukraine, the idea is to get on the board of Disney. How do you do that? You be the general, so they have the conservative, but you're the woke one.
You're the woke general. Yes. And when you look at leadership, especially when I was at West Point, this was not even a conversation. Yeah. And by the way, this happened very quickly. I got out the military in 2012. So I deployed to Iraq, spent 2 years in Saudi Arabia. At one point, all three of my siblings, all three of us, we were all deployed in Iraq at the same time in 2006. We weren't talking about this stuff. Yeah. So at some point in time, something happened in this country that morphed the military to start focusing on fighting wars and focus more on woke left ideology. And that's wrong. And you know who's laughing at us right now? Xi Jinping is laughing at us right now.
And you know who's
Vladimir Putin right now is laughing at us right now. And our allies are like, what happened to America? A strong America is a strong world. Yeah. And right now the whole world's looking at us and we are no longer leading from the front, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I heard it from guys, like I said, a bunch of team guys I had. When my father came in, he was like, they were like, wait, he can't get rid of ISIS. We weren't able to do it before. He's like, well, what did they actually change that he eliminated ISIS in like 3 weeks?
That's right.
It's like, let the guys that are doing the killing, let them do their job.
That's right.
And
how's Soleimani doing right now?
I had those. Yeah, no, exactly. But it was insane. Like these guys were telling me, the same guys I was saying earlier, that were like, I'm going to get out of the military if she wins because there's no future for me here. Mm-hmm. They were saying, we have a playing card, guy, whether it was Iraq or Afghanistan, so a high-value target, and we'd have to call a lawyer in D.C. to kill a really bad guy.
A bad guy.
Not even a bad guy.
Like a really bad guy.
A really bad guy. Like
a horrible dude, right.
And it's like, well, in the 9 hours that it took to get back, something changed. Children came around. All of a sudden, you didn't have it. So the only thing Trump did was like, okay, don't worry about it. I trust the guy on the ground to know more than a lawyer bureaucrat who's never seen a battlefield.
Thank God.
And who's sitting in a nice air-conditioned office in D.C. do their job.
Yeah.
Why is that such a hard concept? I mean, like I said, when the Secretary of State in my intro, I'm shocked the Taliban did not install a more diverse. He said that though, but he said it before Congress.
I don't
know if you were there for that one.
But I was.
He said it in front of Congress. I'm like, you're not a serious person.
No.
Like you you fought them for 20 years, and you think that they were going to put in a diverse and inclusive government? What's the hope? How do you get out of that mess?